But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, you know, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, you know what, I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And
if ever there were evidence that the legacy media blatantly lies to you, my friends, there it is. Joe Scarborough at his best. It is official. Donald Trump did not just defeat a bullet. He defeated a sitting president. What does it all mean? That's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. Greetings, everyone. It's me, Dr. Steve, coming to you from beautiful Maine. Have you noticed every time I leave the studio, something major happens? It always happened to the great Rush Limbaugh back in the day. If you remember, whenever Rush would leave the studio for a week or so, something major would happen. Well, I'm no Rush, obviously, but last weekend I was in Manhattan, last Saturday. This weekend I'm in Maine. I don't know, but hey, no rest for the weary. I don't need no stinking vacation, and neither do you. So whatever you do, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, because we are and continue to be on the cutting edge of societal evolution, as Rush would always say. Oh gosh, I miss him. Before we dive in here, gang, let's show some love to the sponsor of this video, and that's Liver Health Formula. As all you know, I'm very passionate about the fact that we cannot rescue our nation if we don't first take care of ourselves. And health actually starts with our livers. If you think about it, we throw everything at our livers. I mean, come on, cholesterol, alcohol, toxins, Tylenol, statins, cigarettes, you name it. That's why so many of us have sluggish fatty livers. It makes us gain weight. It makes us lose energy. But thanks to today's sponsor, gang, there's a very real solution. Liver Health Formula is an all-natural supplement which contains 12 clinically proven botanicals that help recharge and protect your liver. It's manufactured right here in the good old USA and approved by independent American doctors. And if you click on that link below right now, you could try Liver Health Formula and receive a free bottle of blood sugar formula when you order today. So don't let a fatty liver keep you sluggish and inactive. Gang, many of you know I lost over 60 pounds. And I can say it was one of the best decisions I made. So now it's your turn. Click on that link below or go to getliverhelp.com/Turley and claim your free bonus gift. That's getliverhelp.com/Turley. All right, gang. So it is official. The Biden nightmare has come to an end. And the irony of ironies here is that it happened on National Ice Cream Day. I kid you not, July 21st is National Ice Cream Day. You can't make this stuff up. So I've got a couple of videos for you today. This one I'm going to focus on Biden and the absolute astonishing implosion of his presidency. And then the second video today, we're going to talk about Kamala and why she's in an even worse position than Biden is for November. So make sure you check out both those videos. You're not going to want to miss it. So, of course, Biden has officially dropped out of the race after weeks of denials and pushing back against the growing calls from the bow out. He has finally succumbed to those calls. And here I want to give you 3 Ds to make sense of this. 3 Ds as in David. Delegitimation, disconnect, and division. Okay? Delegitimation, disconnect, and division. So let's start with the fancy schmancy word, delegitimation. The big picture takeaway in all of this is that it's actually a reminder. We talk about this often on our channel, but Biden's implosion, the catastrophic collapse of his presidency, is actually a reminder of just how fragile governments are. I mean, just think about how fast the Soviet Union imploded, right? Scholars have long recognized that governments can exist only insofar as they are legitimized in the eyes of the vast majority of the population. In other words, in order for governments or administrations to be successful, they have to elicit a sufficient amount of trust and confidence among their citizenry. And as we saw, nearly a month ago now, with that train wreck of debate, with that, that we finally beat Medicare debate. What ultimately got beat was Joe's legitimation. And with delegitimation, with the total loss of trust and confidence, his presidency imploded, literally within days. I mean, keep in mind the irony in all of this. The very videos of Biden that we saw weeks ago, that we were told were deep fakes by perhaps the deepest fake of them all, Karine Jean-Pierre. It's beyond ironic that it was precisely the cognitive condition of the man depicted in those videos that caused Biden to drop out of the race. Those so-called deep fakes were ironically so true that they torpedoed Biden's entire presidency. Again, that's how fragile politics can be. So I think that's the first thing we want to take away here. The colossal collapse of Biden is a powerful reminder of just how important legitimation is to the functioning of government in general and presidential administrations in particular. The second thing here, of course, is how that delegitimation is going to plague Biden for the rest of his term. And that's where this disconnect comes in. So if you've been with this channel over the last month, the day after that disastrous debate in our live stream Friday broadcast, I argued that the major takeaway from that debate disaster was that it marked the official end of Biden's presidency. The mask got ripped off. Tens of millions of people who had not been paying attention, but who were concerned about the economy, high interest rates, the mess at our southern border, the spike in violent crime, they were suddenly aghast at discovering the cognitive condition of the very man who was behind it all. I think Matt Walsh said it best. The Biden campaign's decision to challenge Trump to a debate before the convention will go down as one of the greatest political blunders in American history. I mean, truer words have never been spoken. But the key here is that political blundering is going to follow Biden for the whole rest of his term. So, of course, as you know, he's staying in as president. He claims he's going to finish out his term. But that just begs the question, if there's no trust and confidence in you as a candidate, why the heck do you think there's a smidgen more trust and confidence in you remaining president? So keep an eye on the growing pressure for him to resign. We'll see how that develops. But it's very hard to overcome the appearance of an extraordinary disconnect between Biden's inability to campaign and yet his supposed ability to govern. The capacity to campaign has historically been seen as a prerequisite to the capacity to govern. And it will be increasingly hard for Biden to resign the former without completely resigning the latter. So you got delegitimation, you've got this massive disconnect between campaigning and governing. The third big takeaway is this radical divide between the Democrat voter and the Democrat leadership. The Democrat leadership has once again screwed the Democrat voter. Remember, in 2020, Democrat voters didn't want Biden. They didn't want him. They wanted Bernie. Bernie kept winning everywhere. All the polls showed Bernie ahead of the pack and way ahead of Biden. Remember, Biden came in an embarrassing 4th place in the Iowa caucus, followed by a humiliating 5th place in New Hampshire. 5th, gang. No previous presidential candidate ever won the nomination, let alone the presidency, after having come in 4th in Iowa and 5th in New Hampshire. Democrat voters wanted Bernie when all said and done. They didn't want Joe, and they sure as hell did not want Cackles Kamala. She dropped out in humiliation before the very first primary. When all is said and done, Biden's nomination was forced on Democrat voters. by the Democrat leadership and Democrat donors who thought Bernie would be an electoral disaster. So they pressured the other candidates like Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar to all back out and throw their support behind Biden, which they gleefully did, of course, in order to secure their own power, their own political futures. And is it not ironic that this very presidency that in effect began with a coup of Democrat leadership and donors against their own voters and the will of their own voters, is it now ironic that it's now ending with a coup, with the same leaders and donors pushing out the very candidate Democrats voted for? Take a look at this headline from the AP. The DNC promises a transparent and orderly process to select a new nominee. Select, not elect, select a new nominee. How do you like that, Democrats? You like your leaders stepping all over your votes? In other words, they did it again. They thwarted the will of their very own voters yet again. They did it in 2020, and they're doing it again in 2024. The Twitter channel End Wokeness put it best. In the end, the party elites always win. In 2016, they rigged it for Hillary by using superdelegates against Bernie. In 2020, all the candidates dropped out, endorsed Biden. As soon as the primary momentum was building for Bernie, now they forced Joe Biden out despite receiving 87% in the primary. This is not how democracy works. And to close the loop here, the Democrat leadership has put itself in a very precarious position. You can only force a candidate on your constituency for so long before that constituency rebels. And that is precisely what we may be seeing with Kamala. And that is what we're going to talk about in our next video.